What is up, guys, and welcome to the Meeple Minded. My name is Jason and this is Worms. This is a game I've been looking forward to talking about for quite some time. It's been sat behind me on one of these shelves for quite some time and we're finally here. We're finally talking about it. I used to play this game loads when I was a kid, and now we have a physical board game. It's from Mantic Games. Let's have a look how it's played, and I'll be back very shortly with a little look at the components and to give you my thoughts and opinions, pros and cons on the game, and whether I think it is worth your time and money. Okay guys, so here we are set up for a two-player game of Worms the board game. Now, the setup of this game is something you have to do when your opponents are there, because people get to place their own bits and bobs about the table. You also have to set up the worms, crates and mines and that all randomly at the start, and that's before you even know what team you are. But I've gone ahead and done that and assigned two teams here. So we've got the red guys and the green guys on the table today, and we've determined that the red team will be going first, so they have the target marker to signify that they are the first turn. So here we go. We're going to talk about what you're going to be doing in a round of worms. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to pick a worm on your team to activate. So for example, if I'm playing as the red team, I am going to activate, let's say, this worm here. Okay, there's nothing in its hex at the minute. At this point, if the activated worm in question was damaged, say further on in the game, it would be on its side. This is where I would be able to heal that worm, but it's the first round of the game, so nothing is damaged at this current time. I then get to inch/jump twice. Okay, so an inch, for example, is moving one space, whereas a jump is moving two spaces, ignoring what happens in between. So if I was to jump over here, for example, the only real difference here is I've ignored this space. However, I have jumped, so I need to roll a scatter die to see what happens. That symbol is the wind symbol. I don't know if you can actually if you can see that. There you go. That means I have to now move one space in the direction of the wind, and the wind currently is heading this way, so it actually blows me into this square here. Okay, so that would be my first move if I did that as a jump. I then get the chance to do that again should I wish to, but I think in this instance I'm not going to. So then the fifth thing I would be able to do is to play a weapons card. So that's where we need to get our cards here. And as you can see, all of the weapons within the game, they all do a variety of different things. There's these are just the starting cards for the start of the game. There is a whole deck here of special weapons which can be picked up throughout the game as well. So I'm actually in a space with an opponent, so it makes sense if I've got something that can do some damage and then let me run away, maybe, because you have to resolve everything that happens in this hex. So let's have some fun and games, shall we? Let's set off a grenade. So this symbol here, this yellow symbol, means we have to activate the text on the card first. So let's do that. We'll target a hex. Well, I'm going to target this hex that I'm currently in. Has an accuracy of 2. Because I'm in that hex, I do still have to roll for scatter, but I'm not going to take any negatives for doing so. So, for example, in this instance, I have to roll 2 dice for its accuracy of 2. I then pick which one of these I want to resolve. I have another one of those go with the winds, or I have a 1. So I'm either going to go this way or I'm going to go that way. The logic is if I go here, I'm going to hurt my own man. I don't really want to do that. So we're going to go towards the 1, which means that's going to go over here and do its damage here. And it's going to blast the hex, which basically means it's going to create a crater within that hex. So we're going to stick that in there for now. And with blasting as well, if there'd have been anything else in that hex, they would then get damaged and scattered around as well. So that sort of resembles that sort of classic Worms thing where you would fire something off and probably never hit it unless you're actually pretty good at the game, which I never was. So there we go. That is the first part of my card resolved. I then have to resolve the second part, which is a move. So that gives me an inch jump. I'm going to just go back 1 inch over there out of the way so that he can't easily attack me. And that will be that card done. It's removed from the game, can't be used again. So I've put it over there in the box. Okay, so that would be my number 5. Then I would end my turn. So what I do at the end of a turn is I draw one of these here. This is a drop card. This is also the calendar, or the countdown, if you like, for the game length. So we reveal this and we do everything that it says on the card. So in this instance, it says place a supply crate in the emptiest hex, place a supply crate in the emptiest hex, and then change the wind direction. So we're going to add a couple of supply crates in the 2 emptiest hexes. That would be this one here. That would have 1, and then it would probably be that one or that one again. So I'm just going to put 2 crates in there, for example, and then we change the wind direction by rolling the die. It's a dead on target, which means the wind direction is not going to change. The final thing that I need to do on my turn is to pass the target token to the next player, ready for them to start their turn, and that is a whole turn within Worms the game. Now, obviously, there's some things that we haven't witnessed within this game. For example, if at any point we have 3 of these crater tokens in a space, that space will be destroyed, and everything that's in that space is also destroyed. So we would take those craters off. Let's say that my worm was also in there. My worm has now been deceased. It has come back to me. They've come off the board, and we've added this here. This is a water tile. Imagine this whole thing is surrounded by water. We've just blown a hole in the island and made more space for water. That's even less spaces that we can go to. We can also activate things like these mines that are dotted about the battlefield, and as you can see, there are actually a few cards in the game that explain what all of these things do. Let's have a look at the mine, for example. So if a worm moves into a mine, you spin the danger flipper, which is basically a coin. I stupidly have forgotten to get it out of the box, but you flip the coin to see if your worm is damaged or not. If it is danger, you destroy the mine and you blast it. Obviously, if you're destroying the mine, it gets removed. Blast, as we've said, we know adds a crater to the field, and then there is a worm here, which means we're going to be damaging that worm as well. He will be knocked down. And so if a mine is moved with an effect into a worm, you again spin that danger flipper. If danger, destroy the mine and do the blast. So it's basically the same as the first one. And then if a mine is damaged caused by something else, you destroy the mine and blast. So it's basically, it's always going to be destroyed. It's always going to blast. Anything that's in a space with a mine is going to get hurt, damaged, and potentially even removed from the game. Of course, we also have the oil barrels, and as I'm sure you can imagine, oil barrels are going to go up in flames as well. So when an oil drum is damaged, you destroy the oil drum, then roll 5 dice, and you go round all of those spaces in those directions, and you damage everything in those surrounding squares. So oil drums going bang is never a good thing. Great fun, just like the original digital implementation thing. And as you can see, there's a few different things about in the game. You've got fire, which can go out onto the board. It's not a destructible thing, right? It's just going to stay there. You've got the craters, as we said, 3 of those. You're going to remove stuff. The supply crates, if you move into a space with a supply crate, you get to remove that supply crate and you get to draw a new weapon. That is how you get these weapons over here. Let's have a look. So the first one I've drawn is a cluster bomb. There's the sheep. There's a few ones in here that I'm sure people will know from the past that are great fun. Water. Basically, water is death, right? You can't go into water, full stop. So play will go on throughout the game until one team is completely eradicated. Now, in a 2-player game, that's fairly obvious. That's going to be the end of the game. However, in a multiplayer situation, if one team is completely eliminated, that triggers the end of the game. I think the players have one more round to basically fight as much as they possibly can, and whoever has the most worms left at the end of the game would win. if no one is eliminated, as I said, at the end of each turn, you're going to be flipping over these supply crates here. And eventually you will come down to the bottom one, which is the sudden death card. So what happens there is every time that you would flip over a new supply crate, you basically resolve this, and it's just going to end that game nice and quick. But to be honest, I think it's just going to be a case of you're going to eliminate your opponents, right? That's the whole purpose of the game. These weapons can be quite bad, and some of these will actually allow you to do this more than once in a turn. For example, this card here, yeah, you resolve the card, as it says here, and then you get to play another card. Okay, well, let's say I'm going to do this one immediately after. I resolve the effect, I move, and then I play another card. That's 3 weapons in one turn that I'm going to be able to play. You know, there are lots of ways to do damage in this game, and that really adds to the replay value, which is pretty cool. The miniatures are lovely. I'm going to try and show you this, but I've obviously painted mine. But as you can see, that sort of really captures the sort of essence of the 2D things that we're used to on on the PlayStation and stuff like that. So it works really nicely. I really do like the components. But talking about components, let's go back up to that top screen and talk about the components. Okay guys, so that is a look at how to play the game. Now let's talk about the components, and this is the bit that I've been really excited for, because it's been a while since I actually painted miniatures, and as you saw in the how to play, I actually went out of my way and painted the miniatures in this because they're just so damn good, right? I know you can't see it because I'm so far away from the camera, and these things really are quite small. But hopefully you saw them in the how to play, and they really do resemble perfectly just that sort of 2D air that we used to have when we played on the PlayStation, and I still play it on my mobile device. You know, it's a really fun game, and it's, the components replicate it perfectly. They've got that sort of cartoon aspect, and the cartoon design works really well. The dies that come in the game, they've got a good feel. They roll nicely as well. The cards themselves, they're probably the down part for me because they don't have a nice linen finish. They're very glossy. They do occasionally stick together. And I'm probably going to be sleeving these because this is a game that I think is going to get to the table at least enough to warrant me spending that extra money. I'll talk more about spending money in just a second. But yeah, the stuff that comes in the base game, it's pretty good. You know, the art styling of it, the water tiles, it's water, right? It's a blue hex. The actual board that comes in the game, this one's here. Luckily, they have done it double-sided, which I really like. But you do only get 4 pieces in the game. Now, obviously, being double-sided, you could argue that adds replay value. It doesn't really, because it's still the same shapes. So replay value when it comes to the components is a bit lackluster, but they're nice, they're serviceable, they do what they need to do. And as you can see, when these are actually together, and this is a 4-player game, it's not a huge footprint game, right? And you get to place these in different ways. It's not a big game. And this actually leads me to talk on about the extension of the game, because I enjoyed this game. I actually went out and sourced some extra tiles. Now, these were part of the deluxe version that originally came on Kickstarter. I wasn't bothered about having all the extra miniatures, but it's nice to have a few variations on those tiles. I also fed my neoprene addiction by getting a neoprene mat. Now, this mat is almost a 3 foot by 3 foot mat for a game that takes up 1 foot by 1 foot. It's crazy big, but I'm here for it. I love it. And I have a neoprene addiction. So, neoprene mat for a game that I enjoy had to be done. So overall, component quality is pretty good. The miniatures that come in the game are pretty good. I like the fact that you get the 3D like barrels and mines and stuff, so that they're standing out on the board, because it's what you want in a game like this, right? So I think that's pretty good. I'm half tempted to 3D print me some craters, to replace those tokens as well, just so that it's all 3D on the board, because I'm quite sad like that. But there you go. That is the components for Worms, and a little look at some of the extra stuff from the Kickstarter, which I didn't back. Just for the record, I didn't back. This is the retail version. But yes, let's talk about the gameplay. Right, so let's talk about the gameplay, guys. What we like, what we don't like, pros and cons, and all of that jazz. Because I was hyped for this game. I was initially going to be backing it on Kickstarter, but the fact of the matter is I couldn't afford to at the time, because at the time I wanted to go all in. Despite the fact that it's basically for a load more miniatures that you don't actually need. That being said, I do still regret not going all in on that game, because I do feel like it would have had a decent amount of play, and unfortunately I wasn't able to pick it up while at Essen this year. It sold out quite quickly. But really, with regards to the gameplay, what do we like, what do we don't like? What I really like about this game is it captures that chaotic nature that Worms, the digital version of Worms, always had. You know, the ability to blow your own team up and remove your own team from the board, destroy the map. I like the fact that you can destroy the map. You know, you can take bits out of the map. That's really good. That's something that you did in the digital version, and they have captured that really, really well in this game. What I don't particularly like about the game, however, is at 2 players, I don't feel that this game is at its best. I do feel that this game is best at its full player count of 4. Acceptable at 3, kind of boring at 2. So why do I think that? Well, again, it all comes back to that chaotic nature of this game. When you do something in Worms, you want it to have a chain reaction, right? And that happens far more when there's more stuff on the table. And there's more stuff on the table when it's in a 4-player game. Now, granted, yes, the 4-player board, there'd be all 4 boards will be in, and you can have all erroneous shapes. It could be one long map for, all sorts of things could go on. I just find it more fun. And I really, really like the setup of it. While it's annoying that I can't have this game set up ready for when people arrive, I really quite like the fact that everyone can place anything all about the board, and that the team that you're playing isn't actually selected until that is done. Because then you have no agency over where your players started or anything like that. It's a totally random setup with no player having any kind of control over where they will and won't start on the board. But again, player elimination is usually something that sends shivers up my spine. It's fun in this game. It makes player elimination fun. And when you are eliminated, it's not like you're going to be sat there for hours while the other players play out the game, because the game has a very strict set of amount of rounds to govern that. So if all the other players haven't completely annihilated each other, the game will end it for you in a decent amount of time. So I have got a big tick for that. The replay value of the game isn't super there. That's why I've been out and spent a little bit more money in order to get the extra tiles and just to change it up just a little bit. But this isn't going to be a game that you're going to want to play week in, week out. This is going to be a game that you'll break out with the select group of friends. And, it's not even going to be the main event of the night, really. This is probably going to be the fun wind-down game after you've played a big game, or maybe the fun intro icebreaker game before you play the big game. Who knows, but it's definitely got a place in the game collection. It's not going to be a game I'm going to part with anytime soon. As I've said, I've actually invested more money into this game than just the retail version. Do I think everyone needs to do that? No, I don't. Would it have been nice to have a little bit more replay value in the base game? Yes, I definitely think so. But I think for the price that you could probably pick this game up for. I think it's a little bit pricey, but it's probably worth your time at the very least to play the game. So if you know someone who's got it, definitely get a game of it in, because it is good fun. Do I recommend you buy it for the price though? With the retail version being as expensive as it is, if you can get it at that cheaper price, 100% buy the game. You'll have a great time. Don't pay the retail price for it though. That's all I'm saying about it, really. Sorry, I think it's a little bit too expensive, but it is good fun. The miniatures are good fun. I definitely recommend painting them. Yeah, let us know what your thoughts are. If you have played this game, let us know what were your experience of it. Do you think it replicated the digital implementation that it was trying to replicate? Let us know in that comment section down below. That's what it is for. If you like the video, guess what? There's something for that as well. Give the button up there a like, and of course subscribe to the channel for more board gaming content. And until next time, I have been Jason. You've been watching The Meeple Minded. This has been Worms the Board Game, and I'll see you on the next one.